Welcome back to Saturday Social. We are joined in esteemed company by Rory and Spencer. I got the words out eventually. Now, it is, of course, International Week and a new era for England beckons. With caretaker manager Lee Carsley's first games in interim charge tonight at the Aviva Stadium. They play Republic of Ireland in the Nations League and then they play Finland on Tuesday at Wembley. So here is the all-important first squad that he has picked. I won't go through every single player, but the headline names are that 4 uncapped senior players in Chelsea's Noni Madueke, Nottingham Forest Morgan Gibbs-White, Newcastle defender Tino Livramento and Lille's London-born midfielder Angel Gomez make the squad. Some notable omissions include the like of Kyle Walker, Ivan Toney, Aaron Ramsdale not in the squad. Luke Shaw and Jude Bellingham both miss out through injury. Kieran Trippier, of course, recently announced his retirement from international football. Importantly, 6 players from Lee Carsley's under-21 winning side are in the senior squad, and importantly as well, 3 of those players have since pulled out: Cole Palmer, Ollie Watkins and Phil Foden. So some big omissions. Initial thoughts on the squad, Spencer?
Well, I think we're in this sort of like purgatory before people start to really, it's Nations League, whatever, but people start to really care about the England team for a little bit, which is why I think they've gone interim and they've said that, and I think that's the only way I could have accepted Lee Carsley. If they've gone straight in, I think they could still do that. He could still get upgraded to manager, right? But I think that's fine for now, steady the ship. And if it means we get someone in a year, say, who I maybe got us down to get, it's brilliant. Because if that's the logic of Lee Carsley, i.e. we can't get the goal we want yet, so we're going to wait, I like it a lot. And as for him bringing in all the under-21 guys, like, why not let him work with the guys? Let's just give some people a chance that didn't get to play in the summer and see what other talents we've got around the squad.
Yeah, let's chat about Lee Carsley on interim report. I want to get your thoughts on that because it's interesting to see. I've been very fortunate enough to cover a lot of the under-21s with Sky, and the job that he did for the under-21s is pretty incredible, really. Obviously, won the Euros, first time in 39 years that happened, beat Spain, won in the final. Spain actually scored, I think I'm right in saying, 13 goals in the tournament prior to playing England, and England kept a clean sheet in every game in the tournament, which had never been done before. So the job that he did with the under-21s was incredible. What are your thoughts on the appointment on an interim basis?
I think it's interesting. I think perhaps we're using the template that's been exemplified elsewhere. Yeah. You know, you've seen Argentina win a World Cup off the back of promoting from within. The under-21 manager becomes the first-team manager and wins a tournament. We saw it in Spain as well.
Yeah.
Spain as well, the under-21 manager. There is a trajectory and a pathway here to potential success. So I think it's interesting. And the other reason why I think Carsley's also a good appointment, certainly for now and potentially full-term. I do feel like we may be in a situation where we're gently being eased to the fact that he's going to get the job full-term. But the reason I think it's good is because he's been brave and put his own stamp on the squad. Like, for years, haven't we? We've all debated. We're fed up with England squads being picked on name rather than form. Or being picked on reputation when perhaps it isn't deserved. Whereas what we've got here is we've got Carsley putting his own stamp on it. He's brought Jack Grealish back into the fold, which is his decision. He's brought Noni Madueke into the team, which I think is another brave decision. So overall, I think is good. And the other reason why I think Carsley's a really interesting shout, when you listen to people within the game talk about Carsley, his reputation within the game, you know, so I watched his press conference yesterday evening and, being totally frank, I found him fairly uninspiring. But that's almost irrelevant. The way that Noni Madueke has already been speaking about him, saying that he should be the England manager full-time, is interesting. I read an interview with Alan Judge, who played for him at Brentford, and Alan Judge said that he is, within the game, he is the guy.
Yeah,
so
do you know what, it's an interesting point you make that, because I've spoken to a lot of young players and players and people in his coaching staff, the likes of Jolien Lescott, who rave about him as a coach. And I think it almost does go a little bit under the radar when you're in an under-21 setup, but obviously now that will be brought to fruition. Also, the other thing I found with watching Lee Carsley in England was the style that he played as well. So it's very interesting to see the style that he does play, because England were an exciting team to watch in the under-21 tournaments. I think if he does well, there's an opportunity there for him to become permanent manager. But should we go on to who they think?
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about Carsley a lot there, so I think before we predict the 11, let's predict who the manager is going to be for the World Cup in 2026.
Yeah, so whether this is a prediction or more of a dream for me, but there is a world where it could happen. So, like, talking about Carsley, I think if you're talking about English managers, we've got to give one of the most talented coaches what we're being told the chances. It appears he's him. We have a real lack of quality coaches in England. I think there was a stat after the Euros that for every high-level qualified coach in England, Spain have 60. Like, that's how hard. And I can speak from running a club. It's impossible to get on these courses. It doesn't matter if you have managers that want to go from UEFA B to UEFA A. They're like highly qualified. They're league winners, whatever. You can't get on the courses.
Interesting.
So we don't have the infrastructure here. So we haven't got a lot of choice when it comes to English managers. In terms of world-class managers, that could theoretically be available in a year. If you think about what could happen at his club right now, maybe.
Oh.
If you also think about the fact that he will never manage his country of birth, as he said, I believe, I'm going to go for Pep,
Wow.
the manager.
Wow, it's such a brave call.
Yeah.
First and foremost, could we afford him?
Yeah.
He's on an awful lot
we
of
can
money.
afford him. Gareth Southgate got an awful lot of money. We're a very rich FA, if nothing else.
I'm not sure it was even a quarter of what.
No, I think comparable to club wages, I think, the finances would be a factor. But obviously, I think we all agree Pep Guardiola's the best manager in the world.
He's undoubtedly
unbelievable.
he's
But you were not
undoubtedly the best
shaking your head when he revealed Pep.
I was interested to see who it was going to be. No, I wouldn't go for Pep. I think the manager of England should be English. I think it's almost cheating to a point from another country.
So who have you gone for?
It would be like saying, let's put Erling Haaland up front then. Like
He was eligible. He was eligible.
You pick, yeah.
Who have you gone for?
I've gone for Eddie
you've
Howe.
gone for
I think
English manager?
Eddie Howe is the best manager of the English managers. And therefore, he's my choice. I think he'd be a really good
Do you
English
think
manager.
he's attainable? Because it does feel like there's a little
I
bit
do,
of a
actually.
rumbling at Newcastle
I
at
do.
the moment, doesn't
In
it?
a similar way to what Spencer was suggesting about Manchester City, you don't know how the land lies, and there could be rocky terrain ahead. I think it's similar for Eddie Howe, simply because Newcastle are interesting at the moment. Staveley's gone. She was a big supporter of his. I just wonder if the door were to potentially open. He's also been on record saying that the one job, the holy grail for him would be the England manager.
If we go in English, I support that 100%. My question to Rory would be, so you're saying if Pep says I'll do it, you're saying no?
I wouldn't. No,
Well,
absolutely not.
that
Dear
was
Spencer.
kind of the logic.
Absolutely
That
not.
was kind of the
Could
logic.
I just ask you a question then? Is it a bit cheaty?
No.
Why not?
I mean, it happens. Our women.
No, I
have
know
a
it
great
happens,
success
but is it
on
cheating?
the
Is it?
Rugman, you know, like, and it's opened
Not
up
to
the
great
door for a
success,
whole.
though. I think I don't think there's ever been a World Cup one with a manager that's not.
Yeah, and
From his original
international football is very
nationality.
different. And I've literally used the counter argument, and we've had our clashes over Southgate over the years. And I've used the counter argument to defend Southgate and say, like, you know, what works in the Premier League, for example, the fact that no Englishman's ever won the Premier League, doesn't necessarily constitute the same situation in international management. But I think he's the best manager potentially of all time. I also think that he is someone that will give us a clear identity and will play in a certain way. Whether he makes that work for England without a transfer market available to him,
If it's
very
just
different.
best manager for the job, it's Guardiola, no doubt. Best
OK,
manager
we've got
for
to get
job,
onto the
it's
team,
Guardiola.
because we haven't started the team yet. So this is the starting 11 that you would like to see to lift the World Cup, to bring it home.
It's going to have to be some debate, and we're only going to pick one of the answers.
So let's go straight away with the goalkeeper.
Non-negotiable, right?
Yeah, have you
absolutely non-negotiable.
I've actually gone.
Have you?
Ramsdale.
What? How can you possibly go for...
This is, again, more of maybe of a prediction this time, more than it is what I think will happen. Now, Pickford's probably got a tournament or two left in him. I do think there's a
30
chance...
years of age now.
I do think there's a chance that Ramsdale is obviously going to play now and get a load of football in.
Get
But I was
relegated.
also thinking... Yeah, I mean, listen, this isn't one I'll fight to the death on. I love Pickford. I think he's great. Not a great start to the season for Everton, obviously. I'm annoyed of him because I put him in my fantasy team and they've got literally 0 points, I think, so far in Everton, which is not good. But I love Jordan Pickford. What he's done for the country is huge.
OK, so you're happy to...
Yeah, all day.
OK, we'll put Pickford there. Right back.
Right back. Is there anyone answer now?
Right?
Yes.
A lot of good right backs available, but it looks like you've gone with the
I think it's
same
interesting though
player.
how Carsley's spoken about Trent
did you see
being a right back,
Did you see
not
the press
a midfielder.
conference? He said straight away that he's listed as a right back. Obviously, under Southgate's squad, Trent was listed as a midfielder, so straight away he's addressed that issue. He sees him as a right back.
This is great. This is going back to putting his own stamp on the side. Like Trent Alexander-Arnold is a remarkable football talent, but he isn't a midfielder. I completely agree with Lee Carsley, and I think getting him flourishing down this wing could be huge for England.
OK.
I also think, if you go in my version with Pep as manager, one of the things that he will create with Trent is being that right back that steps into midfield, like we've seen him do with Man City. It's informed the rest of my defensive choices, that knowing that we've got a defender who moves in, and that he will get a lot out of him.
Let's have a look at your centre backs.
Should we do the pairings then with that said? Your centre back pairing, because I know you've gone with Gay and Stones.
I've got them both, but I am doing something a little bit different here, system-wise.
System-wise,
OK. Players. So explain what I was going to do, and you can tell me, you can change it.
Yeah, well, let's put Gay and Stones up there.
Both probably agree with
Fantastic
that.
tournament for Gay. I mean, I think one of the standout players for England, obviously stepping in. I thought he had an unbelievable tournament, Mark Gay.
I've got a Pep England team, which is very different to another England team. Right? So my England team, you have him here, which is Jared Banthwaite, and then you have Gay as the left-sided essentially becomes a left
Wow,
centre back
wow.
as Trent pops into midfield. So this is very much like what Man City have done. And it's also addressing perhaps a slight lack of quality at left back we have at the moment in England team. Now we have people like Livramento coming through. I think, Lewis Hall. I mean, I don't know how you're a Chelsea guy. You've seen a bit more of him than everyone else has, but I don't think we've got an obvious choice at left back. And I think I'm thinking Pep as manager, what he could do to make this very solid and him attacking.
Obviously, we've seen Gvardiol used in that sort of space, haven't we?
Exactly. That's my thinking.
If Pep is the gaff, Rico Lewis, would you see him fit in there somewhere?
He would be in the
Pep
mix,
is the manager,
100%. He might even get in at right back over Trent.
I've got no issues with this, by the way. I went kind of more conservative with it and just went Lewis Hall left back, but then I had John Stones, Mark Gahey as my two centre halves.
Yeah, so he's going to become an England centre back at some point. This guy, I'm pretty confident.
Yeah, do you know what? The
Whether it's in the
amount
next 2 years, I don't know.
ex-defenders who rave about Jared Branthwaite and his ceiling is quite incredible.
Left-footed as well.
All feels very Phil Jones.
Who was sticking with Gahey at left back?
I enjoy Spencer's creative system here, but equally the alternative would be take Branthwaite out, put Gahey in, move Gahey across and put Lewis Hall in.
I'm not sure I've seen enough from Lewis Hall personally.
No, but we're predicting 2 years' time.
Yeah, it could happen.
2 years' time.
I don't
I've
mind.
also seen Tino Livramento play at left back at times.
Yeah, he did it in the Champions League really well.
If you've got Eddie Howe in as manager, then you're going to probably see Livramento and Hall involved in some capacity potentially. If he...
I don't mind this.
Jarell Quansah is another name. Do you think you'd chuck in the mix? Man of the match for the under-21s last night is a player that was been around the squad.
I think Quansah's certainly got a chance. I think Levi Colwill has certainly got a chance to be mentioned. But at the moment,
I think he's got a move in between now and then. He's going to go to a big club. I also think you need left footers in here. Let's remember what we saw in the Euros. Right? Kieran Trippier at left back just wasn't working for anyone. So even though he's actually more left footed than him, he can play left back and they can swap in that system.
OK, well, it's your team.
It's a rogue system, but we'll go to the midfielders.
Interesting system.
Let's do your midfield setup. Let's just do the three. Who've got in your three?
How creative have you got? I'm really interested to see.
Let's just pick up your three first.
So I'm Bellingham, Rice, Maino.
Yes, I have all those three in my team, but I've got to start. I am quite creative.
But you both agree in the sort of deeper roles potentially. You've got Bellingham and Rice.
Yeah. This is where I have a slight issue with I've created a rod for my own back here. Whereas if you do go, these two in here. Then my whole Trent stepping in thing, you've probably got a bit of an overkill in the midfield.
So you contradicted yourself slightly.
But I just couldn't not put these two in the team at the same time. It's like.
I mean, what
and then
amazing.
So where are you playing Jude and where are you playing Jude?
So I've gone a bit controversial with my team, and I think I'm probably ultimately going to be wrong if you're talking about this as a prediction. But if you think about Pep as a manager, talking about Chelsea and not having strikers and all these things, like who's the one manager who's repeatedly made a no-striker system work? Whether it was with Barcelona or with Man City, is Pep. And why don't we do what just worked for Real Madrid so well and stick him here? Harry Kane. Have a little bit of a break, my son.
Interestingly,
where's Harry Kane?
Harry Kane's going to be off the bench.
You're not starting England captain Harry Kane?
Potentially. Listen, I asked to make me a 12th magnet because I'm more than happy to incorporate Harry Kane.
You don't know.
Do you know what's interesting here, Spence? We're actually singing from a very similar hymn sheet without realising it because I've done something fairly similar. But I've got Bellingham.
So
I've got Bellingham deeper. But then I also haven't. Should we move forward?
So you haven't got Kane either.
I haven't got Kane either.
Wow.
So what's your front threes looking like?
So through the middle of my front three is this man.
So you've got Palmer, Foden, Saka. You've got
Palmer, Foden, Saka.
So you've got the same front six in different layouts.
Six in different layouts. So neither of you have gone with England captain Harry Kane.
I have
record goal scorer.
And I think that I've been on record defending Harry Kane. I've shown nothing but universal love for Kane.
Wow.
I think he has been exceptional, one of the best to have ever done it. But he was atrocious at the Euros.
But potentially carrying an injury.
Strong,
We need to see the next year or two if he gets back to it, which he probably will score a load of goals.
But does it matter if he scores loads of goals? Because we've seen him score loads of goals all his life, and every time it matters for England, he doesn't do it. We're constantly picking players.
Do you think that's fair though? Because he won the Golden Boot in the World Cup. He finished as joint top scorer in the Euros as well this summer, the one that you're talking about.
Yeah, but Smithy,
he's England's record goal scorer. So
this is unjust, isn't it? I know you're correct. He did win the Golden Boot.
I'm just talking about facts.
Yeah, you are. But you're presenting them in a way. You're presenting them in a way that doesn't tell anyone the full story.
I know what you're saying.
He won the Golden Boot in Russia, and that was one of the most pitiful rewards as well. He didn't have a good tournament. The goals were all little deflections. He has never had a good tournament for England. That's a fact.
I'm just giving context for when you're saying,
No, but to say that he won the Golden Boot at the most recent Euros, although it's true, it's an half misleading.
But whilst it's slightly subjective, you could also argue that he was one of the main reasons we were so terrible to watch this summer. Like, and maybe it's Gareth's fault for playing him when he had maybe injury issues, but he was continuing making the same mistakes he's made so many
Dropping
times.
deeper and deeper and
Something
deeper.
like Golden Boot for the World Cup. He won the Golden Boot for the World Cup.
Yeah, hat-trick against Panama, wasn't it? I was there. Yeah, I mean, I could score a hat-trick.
But we're perennially, for England especially, we have perennially picked players and forced players to play for England beyond their elbow.
But interestingly,
we did it with Wayne Rooney for years.
OK, if it wasn't Kane, but then Watkins, neither of you are picking an actual out-and-out striker in the system.
It's about the other players.
So
So Phil Foden's been a massive disappointment in an England shirt. I'm not getting away from
Where's
that
he
at all.
going to play? Where's he playing for you?
But you've got to remember the context of what I'm doing here. It's a Pep team.
Yeah.
So Pep has we've got the best out of this
you
man.
say Harry Kane
incidentally.
isn't there because of the
So Harry Kane could easily work in a Pep system. Like, he could make him work. Of course he could. Harry Kane's world class, right? I'm thinking more about if Harry Kane's ever going to lead us to glory, it's probably 2026. Otherwise, never going to happen. What I'm thinking is, look at this squad. So many of these boys could have a chance of winning a trophy for England over the next 3 or 4 tournaments. So let's think long term, getting the best out of these players. And we have Jude Bellingham. We also have a little bit of creative talent in those sort of attacking midfield areas. Yeah. He's just won a Champions League and double as a false 9 striker. There's a manager who knows how to play that
could you put Jude up top, Palmer in the 10? We've seen Palmer kind of working in the 10 for Chelsea, floating around, haven't we?
I've kind of got...
Swap Bellingham and Palmer?
Interchangeable, I think.
Bellingham and Palmer, I think it's interchangeable.
Got to have Saka on the right, obviously.
I actually did have Saka on the left, which I know is a bit controversial, but that was because I wanted Palmer in the middle and I wanted Foden not on the left for sure, but you could go Foden in the middle, fluid, Palmer on that side. Either way, I think Saka can play this side better than the other two.
But you'll play Foden on the left.
No, I wouldn't. That's the one I wouldn't do. I'd never do that again.
But you've got Foden magnet in your hand. You're about to put on the left.
I think I'm going with what Rory's doing.
Fine,
For me, it would either be Foden would either be here or here. Palmer would be here or here. And Saka has to play, but he has to move to the left and become out left-sided. Because again, even with this team, you've got the attacking coming from the right. You need a left footer.
You know,
is he not the best right winger of the lot?
Yeah, as a theory, are you not taking the jewel in the crown, really, the person that has constantly performed, and asking him to do a job? It's a bit asking the best to do.
But isn't that been an issue with England a lot of the time? Is that you're playing players, but not in the correct position, which is why we haven't seen certain players get the
so maybe
best
I'm oversimplifying.
So if you're moving Saka out of his position, is that not going to?
But you're talking before you've seen the fact. This isn't like we're 3 years into watching Steven Gerrard play left mid or whatever, and we know it doesn't work. We've never seen it. If you just really simplify football to a basic terms, this is what Gareth refused to do in the summer, where he refused to admit that they had no left width on the left flank, right? Tell me the attributes that a traditional left winger needs, right? If you're playing someone that wants to provide width, beat a man and cross it in. Bukayo Saka has all those attributes. We have 2 world-class players that can maybe play not as good as Saka, but in that other position.
Right, let's get him up.
For me, I would have him there.
Let's get him up. So there we go.
Foden.
Okay, interesting.
I don't mind that.
So interesting. Not a natural left back.
Do you know, I'm not
not
totally against this system.
Stick him up, Roz.
And the reason that I'm not totally against it is because part of what went so wrong for England is that every time the ball found its way to Kieran Trippier would invariably cut in or lay it back. At least we have some width.
If we had a different manager and that manager wanted to drop
I love it. We've picked all that as about 6 players out of position. I love it.
No left back, no striker.
I've created a Pep
position.
This is the Pep system.
Well, let us know what you think. There is confirmation of Spencer and Rory's 11. I have to say, some brilliant names there. Just not sure some of the positioning, but that's what they think. Let us know what you think at home.